Hello there, fellow electrical engineers. Rodamon here. Thank you for tuning in to Stationeers. Episode 16, setting up a solar power tower. All right, beacon's on, and I'm looking for iron. Yeah, nuclear is planned, but it's not in yet. Oh, that's copper. Thought that was iron from a distance. I'm sure I'll find iron here in a minute. It's the most common. Ah, crap, I'm thirsty. Alright, I see iron right there. And I don't know what other materials I'm going to need for the solar panels, but I do know that I was basically out of steel, which is one of the primary components for them. So, yeah, a whole bunch of iron will help with that. So I'll do another 200 batch of iron, or of steel, rather. So, over there, yep, that's all the iron here. Cool. So we depleted this. Heading back home to smelt and then drink. I didn't really need the tracker in this instance. I mean, finding iron, it's going to be in my own backyard. I would really want the tracker if I was looking for like cobalt, nickel, silver. You know, those materials are a lot more rare, and I'm more likely to venture farther away from home in search of them. Like, there's gold right here, like next to the base. You know, it's really not that hard to find this stuff. Beacon off. And we're going to want, let's say, 4 oxite. Or 4 volatiles, 2 oxite. No, that's nitrice. 2 of these. Uh-oh, I'm running out of room. Is this... Oh, I didn't vacuum this out from the last use. Okay, I'm going to go get water and then return to the smelting. Some idiot forgot to vacuum out the waste gas. That idiot also happens to be me, sadly. I also haven't been home in a while, so there is a non-zero chance that the potatoes are ready. In fact, like, probably a lot of potatoes. Or just one. Yo, what the hell? I should probably analyze them to make sure that they're okay. Because this one says it's in darkness. So it might be... Hold on one sec. There might be something wrong with it. Also, is my drill still on? Stupid. No. Growth efficiency 127%. It's not... I'm not doing wrong by it. It's kind of up in the upper max ideal temperature, which I should probably use my water systems to cool down the base. That would not be a bad idea. That would be a stopgap for like a true setting up AC. That one is finished and it only made 1 seed. Yeah, so I'll just replant it. Oh, no, hold on. It made a seed and then made the potatoes. Right. Okay. Because I waited for it to fully seed. So replant that and take its potatoes. Alright, the other ones. Yeah, I mean, the base is a little warm right now, but it's not going to kill anything. Alright, food and water's full. Helmet's down. And now we're going to make steel. It's basically empty. I could use an active vent if I wanted it to go faster rather than a passive vent. An active vent, like, pointing back, backwards or whatever, but this is fine. Probably. Famous last words, but probably fine. So 150 iron, 50 coal, and we'll be good to go. It is almost not hot enough. It's 800 Celsius, but, it's still hot enough technically. So, steel, done. All right, all my materials are in this. That's what I was wondering. Let's get comfy. And here is a solar. So I think what I'd like to do is to set up one solar panel and then scale up from there as like a proof of concept. That's what a smart engineer would do. So I'll pretend to be a smart engineer. So with a single solar, I can use that same daylight sensor. It's just a generic one. But I'm going to need to read the horizontal angle, the vertical angle, do some math, have some memory. There'll be stuff to do. So I'm going to need a fair bit of I/O. I can use this area as I/O, and maybe I'll set up the solar here for the I/O, like above the entryway here. So a solar panel, in order to build, requires glass sheets. And I could actually have it in the base, because I have windows in this base, but it's going to be better if it's like high up in the sky, so that the outside terrain can't affect it and block it. Because it's functionally how much it's receiving. It's not simulated. So like if you have a solar panel partially obscured by a wall, you're not going to get full solar power. So it's important to set them up. Wow, I have 1 copper left? Well, I know where copper is, but yeah, I'm going to need copper soon. Okay, stop. None of these alloys I'm going to need for this project, so I'll put them away. And again, the solar panels, just to show you the cost, is... No, that's not it. Is gold, copper, and steel. Mostly copper and steel, a little bit of gold. So I burned all my copper. In order to build this, I'm going to need glass. Let's switch belts. So 1 glass sheet to continue. Obscured by other solar panels is surprisingly common. Yeah, and I plan on spacing them out significantly. Like maybe 3 frames away from one another so that they can't block each other as easily. The other thing to note, which we should take into consideration before actually building them. Oh, is this one in total darkness? Yes, I'm going to need to move my light because it's not hitting this here. It's, I need to move it here. Or move the light over. I'm going to have to fix this. Well, I don't have to, but I'm going to want to fix this now rather than later. And it is going to mess with the logic here for it because I'm disconnecting the light briefly. But glad I noticed that before it was a problem. So the logic writer can't find the grow light, which is why it's flashing error states. And it's not automatically going to find it having moved it because it isn't pointing at it correctly anymore. Because I uninstalled it. So the input is correct, but the output is not. And this is just a grow light. And then whether it is on or not, done. All right. if I did all that correctly, this was, I'm sure, light deficient. And illumination stress was bad as a result. And we'll check in on this to make sure. This is getting light now. It's, so it should be fixed. I just didn't have this centered over the 5. So that's not my bad. Because this setup can hold like 10 or whatever. Okay, back to what I was working on after that brief interlude. We were setting up the solar. So here's the solar panel. And you can either have power and data separate or power and data together. I'm going to do them separate. Because if I'm ever generating a lot of power, well, I just want to limit. What I'm considering is maybe to keep my data separate is I could do an APC or something. But initially on the setup, I'll just have that on the same data network. So let's uninstall this thing. I'm rambling this one. Let's uninstall this thing and get it moved outside. In order to move it outside, I probably want to put it on an elevated position, like way up in the sky, so it really has good view of light. So we're also going to want some frames for that. So let's move the iron out of here. And we'll do... Maybe I'll put the logic on the vertical column that has my solar panels on it. I think that makes the most sense. So let's say make 5 frames. So it's 5 meters up or whatever. And then we'll want more. So because I'm out of copper, I'm not going to make the cables I need to actually connect this. So I'm going to need to mine up copper regardless of what I do. But we'll get 5 iron sheets. Because the frames don't need to be solid. They can be non-airtight. There's no need for airtight vertical. So none of this will be done until I get more copper, but I can at least start to lay this out prior, and then go get the copper when it's like light out, and I can actually find it. Although I'm pretty certain where I know where copper is out there. I don't need to go written around for it. Okay, air tank's good. Waste tank's a little full. I'll dump it. I'm still doing the ghetto dump, which is like just outgas the CO2. How CO2y is our environment now? Let's check. 6%? It's still fine. I don't need to urgently filter that or anything like that. The plant analyzer I'll put here, because I don't need to bring that with me. And it would be nice to have like some sort of local storage for the things that are relevant for the plants. Before I leave, it would be good to top up my food and water. Which I'm pretty low on water bottles, but I don't need to fix that right now because I still have a lot of water stored in the system. And then we're good to go. Did I not bring the frames? Let's go with I totally remember to bring the frames with me. Wait, did I? Where'd I put them? It's in the tool belt? Wait, why? Yes, it is, because you're right, it has extra slots. Derp. Oh my god. I did bring the frames, but not where I thought they'd be. Oh boy. So if we have our solar logic So here's the plan. I'm going to have a vertical, like, power tower here. High enough that, like, the shadows of whatever else I build is probably not going to obfuscate the panel itself. And it's pretty close to this daylight sensor, which is going to be useful to have because the daylight sensor is going to be needed for the project. This is the first time I'm using my arc welder. So this is a non-gas, but instead electrical welder. Cool. And unlike the other welder, it doesn't need to be turned on and off. It's just turns on when you use it and then turns off when you're not. All right. The panel on the top going to be installed, and I will point. So one issue with this physical location is I'm generating power pretty far from the battery. Wow, my face is doing some weird things with the screen. The sensor works like perfectly. You don't actually need it to have a path to the sun or anything like that. So I'm maybe I want my tower. Yeah, I'm going to want my tower closer to where I'm actually storing the power. So I actually take it back. I don't want it here. And I have to be careful about what I wrench, because I would kill everything if I wrenched this, for instance. It is so easy to do. Instead, we'll... Yeah, let's just do it here. Power doesn't dissipate over distance, but I don't... If I'm ever generating a lot of power and I need heavy cables... Hey, look at that! Brutal Legend! Achievement unlocked. I have been survived for a month. So the reason to do this is if I need to transfer... the power to the batteries, the battery is a lot closer here than it is over there. I mean, it's only like, what would that be? 45 cables closer or whatever, but it's still, I mean, I don't need to spend that if I don't have to. The other advantage of this project is, we'll have like a vertical column to be able to find home easier, just a visible, I can even put a light at the top. So that, you know, it's a lighthouse or something like that. Oh, and here's the sun. So the other part of this project is when we're laying out these towers, we need to figure out the position of the sun, relation to our solar panel, so that our panels don't block each other in the arc. So right now it's climbing at 90 degrees, and I think it sets at like 300 or something. So it kind of goes low across the sky like this. Meaning that panels that run, you know, I would want my panels like kind of diagonally on this axis, if not to block each other. So it's not going to be like a straight tower. It's going to be a little weird and harder to wire up, but I think that will generate more power in the long run. All right. So, again, proof of concept. Let's put this down. I'll put the data port to 0. And then, for again, proof of concept, I'm going to... Ooh, let's not crush myself. I'm going to tilt this manually to see how much power it would hypothetically generate, roughly speaking. And then we can start to automate it. So, once I get up to, like... efficiency 90% or something, that's like how much power it could potentially generate. So we're at 72 efficiency 96%. There we go. There's 100%. So about 65 watts of power if the automation for this is like perfect, which given enough panels, no problem. All right, now that we have some sunlight, let's get the copper that we need, because I was out of copper. Yep, I jumped. Whee! Splat. I should have done something with my other ices, but oh well, whatever. And yes, my beacon isn't on, I know. But I should be able to find home from here. I don't think I'm going to get lost, given that I'm staring at my base. And it's also daytime. So, I acknowledge the beacon is not on, but I am not going to go wandering. So the plan is to automate one solar panel tracker, and then potentially ramp up from there. But until I get the proof of concept for the first one, I don't want to make the others. You know, one first, then we can scale. Excuse me, ore scanner. There's absolute... What? White. Oh, that must be silicon. Yeah, okay. I think I got all the copper that was here. Yep. So I pointed my solar panels on purpose at sunrise. Like, more or less at where the sun came up. So, as a result, we'll kind of have an idea of the arc that the sun takes, which I think is like this. And that gives us a concept of like how the panels should be laid out. So if I lay them out on only one axis, meaning only this way, they would block each other. Maybe not by a lot, but they would definitely block each other. And if I laid it out this way, they would absolutely block each other. So orienting them east-west is better than north-south, but both are not great. So I'm going to want them horizontal, like over 2, up 1, over 2, up 1, so that it's on a tilt that kind of roughly matches the arc of the sun. All right, let's get this smelted so that I can make cables and make some power. So I think what I'll end up doing is I'm going to move this kit battery once it's lower on power. So I'm going to wait for it to like lose power. I'm going to move it right here so it's closer to the tower, because then I can move this over there too and free up some space around there. For what? I don't know, but I want to put all my power in the same sort of area. All right, 4 and 2. Closed. Fed. And cooking. Alright, the panel was originally facing this way, towards 90, and now the sun's at about 3:30, and it just dipped behind Saturn. So it's this kind of arc. And then it reappears behind Saturn for like a brief moment, where like there's almost no solar power to actually capture at that point, and then it's gone. I'm going to wait till the seeding, and I want to check in on that potato plant to see if it's doing any better, because it was kept in total darkness for a while. We'll go for a full stack of 50. So for the logic, as long as the data on that daylight sensor is exposed, we'll be able to read the horizontal and vertical angle of the sun, and then adjust for its 51, I guess. Then adjust for its height in the sky, and then with that we can point the solar panels directly at the sun to generate, let's say, like 95 plus efficiency throughout the day cycle. Luckily for me, I have not, the base hasn't gotten warmer or colder, so I'm not going to worry about the atmo in here yet. I'm not going to bother with the water cooling. Whoop, that's the wrong... Right, because I threw it on the ground. So I'm just checking in on the sad plant. See if it's doing better. So it's light deficient. But all the others are like no illumination stress. Maybe it's still not getting light from there. Whatever. I'm gonna force the light on. And it's... I don't see the numbers. No, it's changing. Whatever. If I don't think I'm going to starve, even if that is. So I'll tinker with the layout later, if you guys want me to. But oops, I dropped the wrong thing. But it's fine for now. So we're waiting on this to be going towards seeding. Now that I don't have like an urgent need for potatoes. Well, yeah, I have some extra potatoes. Yeah, I don't have an urgent need for potatoes. Because before, I couldn't even wait for the seeding phase because I was just like, potatoes now! But now I have the luxury of waiting. Now, I could be, and I'm not really sure about this, but I could be relatively low on water. So let's check that. No, I got about 5 liters left in the system. And then the potatoes barely use water. So I've used like 0.1 liter for the potatoes so far, or something like that. So that's of not much concern. So just fixing my food and water. And then we're going to want 2 readers. I like how they have like chives on it or something. Like, where'd I get the chives? So for the solar tracking, we're going to want a memory, 2 readers for horizontal and vertical, 1 math, and 2 writers. So that's my mem. So logic, we're going to go with 2 reads, 2 writes, and 1 process. So 4 of these and then 1 processor. And Catatonic, thank you for the cheer again. And I have enough materials. That's good. I like how they look. So giant transistors. They're massive. All right, and then process. And I think that's all I'll need, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty simple. All right, let's stuff this into my belt and my bag. So I'm pretty loaded full of stuff. Ooh, this is seating. I really need a potato tray or something. And probably a refrigerator, to be honest. This one's seating too. And this one's seating. Rock on. I think we're not gonna be hungry. I got eight spuds now. And the next concern is like maybe refrigeration for it, but worry about that later. All right, so I got my logic units. I've got my cables. Let's go up top and start hooking it up. And as I mentioned, I'm going to do the logic. Oh, it's still not done. I'm going to do the logic up there, you know, on the tower. So if the data's here, we're going to want to run a cable up here. I don't know why I climbed all the way up. That was kind of dumb. We're going to need to connect to the data network, and I can, I'll drop a cable down there to run up on this wall. I should have put that before I even came down here, but whatever. So we'll have a cable. Actually, I'll have it go up the middle. And while we're going up the middle, we'll put the memory. Connect the memory up. I don't have my... no, I have my labeler in my belt, right? Yeah, I got my labeler. Cool. So we're going to have memory. And this is just so that we can adjust for, like, the low angle of the sun. Because the vertical angle and the horizontal angle isn't enough for the panels to track. I could demonstrate that, but I don't think it's really worth it. You can just, in this point, take my word for it. And then we're going to have the logic reader for the reading the vertical angle of the sun. The logic reader for the horizontal angle of the sun. The logic writer. Well, actually, this should be a batch writer. For the, because if I have more than one panel, we need to do it in batch. So the batch writer for the horizontal, the batch writer for the vertical, and then some simple math for the vertical. So this is just going to be a math unit. That's all I'm going to need. So let's add this up. The memory here is going to be, let's try 35 to start. And I'll run you through the actual equation. This is going to be the solar tracking vert reader, solar tracking horizontal reader, solar vert batch writer, solar vert horizontal batch writer, and solar vert math logic. I might as well finish the cabling. I know it's not wired up to anything yet, but finish the cabling now. And then we'll wire it up. Really inefficient wiring, but I'm only trying to get each and every port without doing much thinking. Okay, they're all plugged in. Oh, well, that's wrong. But they're all plugged in. This has 4, the others have 3, and then this one has 1. So that's all squared away. We just need to plug it into the bottom now, which I have enough cables for. And then we need to run the actual line all the way up to the panel data port up top, because I can't write to it without that. So run a vertical line all the way up. And this is not a powered line. This does not carry power. It's important to separate power and data because you can overload a power cable with too much power generation, so we don't want to generate more than 5 kilowatts on these normal red lines. So I'm going to need a transformer down here to make sure that the input into this kit battery doesn't exceed 5, that I have a separate line for I'll have a separate line for the solar to input into this battery so that I can have solid fuel and solar. So there's a little bit of transmission work to be done there to make sure that I can use one or the other or both so that we don't blow up anything. So the data port is now attached. And then, of course, the power that we actually generate. Let's plan on having a 5 kilowatt line down. So we'll run a 5 kilowatt line on the other side, meaning that if I was generating what, like 63 watts, I would need a lot of panels to exceed the 5K limit. But if we do exceed the 5K limit, this will burn out. So it is a limitation to the system until I upgrade it to heavy cables, but I don't think we're going to need heavy cable levels of power generation. So I'm not worried about that. Jetpack is nearly bingo. Got it. But there's the line, so we'll continue. So I need a few more cables, and then we can start doing the logic.
Jetpack low.
I know. So this needs to connect up to the grid, which I can pick up from right there. The solid generator generates 20 kilowatts, and these lines burn out at 5 kilowatts. So, yeah, you don't want a solid generator on regular cables, or you get burnt cables. And the solid generator is not smart enough, it will just burn the cables and then just keep burning coal. It's not intelligent as if like, oh, I don't have anywhere to put this power. It just will just keep trying to make power. All right, so those are hypothetically powerable. It does auto turn off when you connect it to the battery, yeah. There's like a feedback. So it's semi-smart, I guess? I wouldn't call it smart. Alright, my jetpack tank is pure oxygen, is it not? Let's double check. It is. So I can hot swap it with that one. I don't know, that works. So now this is my new jetpack. So I'm using oxygen as a propellant. The reason is I don't pollute my base doing that. I'm just adding oxygen to the base. That's fine. It's not going to hurt me. So that's plenty good for propulsion. The other thing I had mentioned is wanting to move the kit closer to the base once it's lower on power. But I'll set up the automation and then move the station battery. I could also hypothetically install another station battery so that there's like extra storage, and there's even a larger battery type. But these are fine for my, for my use. Oh, I didn't make. No, I did make cables. I was like, where are my cables? Thank you for tuning in to Stationeers, which originally streamed live on Twitch as a marathon, one time only. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below. I am not, however, looking for feedback. I asked for no backseating for the series, and also, because this streamed one time only, feedback wouldn't be able to be incorporated anyway. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhodamont.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhodamont.com also has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that made it all the way to the credits, so thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Stationeers.